Hi everyone, welcome back to the Supernatural Women International channel. This is Yura's Corner, and for a while now we have been on an interesting series on breastfeeding. It would not be ideal for us to conclude the series without touching on certain factors or certain conditions that can, hamper or reduce your breast milk supply or production. So that's what we'll be looking into today. We want to know what are the things that can make your body not produce enough milk for your baby. So first and foremost, one of the primary reasons that can hamper your breast milk supply and your breast milk production is inadequate breastfeeding or pumping. Now, like I have explained in our previous videos, your body produces the breast milk according to demand, and every time you are breastfeeding your baby, you are placing more demand on your body to produce more breast milk, right? So when you're not breastfeeding, adequately, or you're not pumping adequately, your breast milk supply will not increase, and it may even begin to dwindle if the demand you're placing on it is reduced. So most times, from the beginning time, it's very important for you to place a lot of demand on your body so that your system starts to produce enough milk, and then until you get a stabilized supply and you maintain that momentum going forward. So it is very important for you to breastfeed regularly, and also or for you to pump regularly. Maybe when your baby is sleeping and you feel a bit engorged, it's important for you to actually pump so that you can create more room or create more space for more breast milk to be produced. So number one important thing that can hamper your breast milk production or your breast milk supply is inadequate breastfeeding or inadequate pumping of the breast milk. Secondly, like we've been discussing on this series, we encourage exclusive breastfeeding, right? Now, what happens is it's generally tagged breastfeeding on demand. And what this means is that whenever your baby wants to eat, you breastfeed. That's actually how it works. But there are some people that, they're trying to, let's say you just give birth and then you have not established a good supply, or you've not established your breast milk production to come to like optimum level, and then you're already introducing formula to the baby. So you're already giving baby formula and then you are also breastfeeding. So the introducing formula too early is one way of hampering your breast milk production, because obviously when you are already introducing formula to the baby, you are not going to be breastfeeding as much. And so we hear stories of people saying, oh, I couldn't breastfeed because my body was not producing enough breast milk. While that is a known fact for certain people, but for some of them it's just because they introduced the baby formula too early. They did not give their body the chance and the opportunity to actually live up to that demand, right? So introducing formula too early to your baby, it's one way of hampering your breast milk production or your breast milk supply. Another factor that can actually hamper your breast milk production is not emptying the breast during a breastfeeding session. So what this means is that when you are breastfeeding, when your baby starts to suck on the breast, the first milk that comes out of the breast is the foremilk, which is majorly made up of water, right? So what happens is that when the baby has sucked on the breast for a while, then the hind milk begins to come out. Is the hind milk that has a lot of nutrients and the rest of it. So it's very important that when you breastfeed, you keep baby on one breast, more like empty that breast before you move on to the next. So if you just breastfeed, let's say you just breastfeed breastfeed your baby for a short while, and then you're either switching breast or that's the end of the breastfeeding session, you have not emptied the breast fully. And so there will not be like a stimulation for your body to produce more milk. And when that stimulation is not coming constantly, that would also reduce your breast milk production or your breast milk supply. I don't know if it makes sense to you. So when you're breastfeeding, make sure that you empty the breast before you move on to the next breast, or before you end, the breastfeeding session. Always ensure that you empty the breast so that your body can get stimulated to produce more milk, and then your milk production will not be hampered. The fourth thing that can also hamper your breast milk production is when you have like a scheduled feeding. As an exclusive breastfeeding mom, like I mentioned earlier, it is actually supposed to be breastfeeding on demand. But then, some mothers, just because they are trying to establish a routine, which we advise, but the routine is supposed to flow with your baby and not necessarily imposed. So some people just give so many advices here and there, and they tell you, oh, breastfeed every 2 hours or every 3 hours, and if that schedule, when you just introduce a schedule that your body is not used to, it can actually hamper your breast milk production, because it's almost like you're giving your body like a timeline. Do you understand? You're giving your body like a timeline that is not working well. So probably you are breastfeeding at the wrong time. Do you understand? So while it's important for you to actually have a sustainable routine, you don't schedule it too early, and you don't use a pattern that is not working. You have to observe your body and observe your baby as well before you can establish a proper routine for the breastfeeding, and not necessarily just taking out a schedule and you're trying to stick to it without understanding how your body is actually working or responding to scheduling, right? Because when you have observed yourself, you would actually notice if your routine is supposed to actually work better with like every 1 hour 30 minutes, or every 2 hours. Does your baby nap from so time to so time? These are the things that would actually determine how you should plan your routine if you are trying to establish a routine, and not an imposed one, which can now hamper your breast milk production. The fifth factor that can affect breast milk production is pacifier overuse. Now, pacifiers are mostly given, ideally when you're exclusively breastfeeding, you are advised not to use pacifiers, right? But now there are some mothers that are still interested in using it. Let me know if you want us to do a video comparing the pros and cons of pacifier use. Yes, so let me know in the comment section, and if you vote for it, would actually make a comparison about pacifiers. So pacifier overuse is one factor that can actually affect breast milk production, and that's because when your baby is constantly having pacifier in his or her mouth, they are supposed to you're supposed to breastfeed on demand, but because they're already sucking on pacifier, even when they are hungry, you will not even take the hunger cues, and then you end up not breastfeeding when you are supposed to. And then that can now affect your milk flow, your let down, and the rest of it. So overuse of pacifier is is something that can actually hamper your breast milk supply. Another major factor to consider are hormonal birth controls. There are some people that are placed on certain birth controls, and it actually can affect their breast milk production. If you've been following the series very well, you would have come to understand that breast milk production is controlled by hormones. So like the hormone prolactin stimulates the production of breast milk. So as a breastfeeding mother, your prolactin level is supposed to be high. So if you're taking a certain hormone that is like an anti-prolactin hormone, because you're trying to prevent pregnancy or something, and then this hormone causes it destabilizes your hormonal system and affects your prolactin level, though definitely it would affect your breast milk production as well. So setting birth controls that some hormonal birth controls in particular has a way of affecting your breast milk supply or your breast milk production. Now, the next one we should also consider is sleep, and or should we call it sleep deprivation and stress. It's very important for us to note that sleep is one way of boosting your breast milk production. So if you're a breastfeeding mother, you need a lot of rest, and then you also need a lot of sleep. You will notice that whenever you take a nap and wake up, you feel engorged. That's because the breast milk, like, your body gets to work when you're in that your rest state. So it's very important for you to be able to sleep. And I know that, of course, sleep deprivation and motherhood, or a new mom, is like 5 and 6, but you have to find a way to work around it. They normally advise sleep when baby is sleeping. Sometimes it can be impractical, but you have to find a way to work around it. You need to sleep, you need to rest, so that your body can produce enough milk for your baby. Because if you're stressed, if you're sleep deprived, definitely your milk production is going to drop drastically. Now, whether or not it applies to you, smoking and alcohol is also another factor that hampers the breast milk production. So as a breastfeeding mother, you're not supposed to smoke, you're not supposed to take alcohol, because this can actually negatively affect your breast milk production. Next is dehydration. Of course, we discussed earlier on in this series, and we said you need to take a lot of water for you to for your body to produce enough milk, because water makes up a high percentage of the breast milk. So if you're dehydrated, if you're not taking enough water, definitely your breast milk supply is going to drop. So dehydration is one factor that can lead to reduced breast milk production. And then finally, the last point we'll be considering is, of course, medical conditions. There are certain medical conditions that can generally just affect your breast milk production, and you are not able to produce enough milk for your baby. It is under these conditions that it's being recommended that you supplement the feeding, either with formula, or find a way to boost your milk production naturally. So yeah, these are the points we'll be talking about today. Factors that actually predispose you to reduce breast milk production or breast milk supply. I hope you found the video very helpful, and if you did, please leave your comments in the comment section. Let us know what your experience is like, or what your experience was like. Are there other things that affected you that were not mentioned in this video? Let us know, so that other mothers can also relate to it, and we can all learn together. Thank you for your time, and I will see you on the next video. Bye.